My roommate tried to steal my boyfriend, so she slipped a cursed death letter into my things. I just dropped it in the temple donation box to let Buddha deal with it. That night, she burst into a rage and started strangling me. Why aren't you dead yet? Why aren't you dead? I just smirked at her. You want me dead? Sorry, I'm a professional reaper. I'm already as dead as it gets. I recently received a cursed letter. Someone had tucked it into a hidden pocket of my closet in the dorm. It fell out when I was getting my winter sweaters. At first, I didn't think anything of it. Then, when I took a shower, bright red blood started pouring from the faucet. When I brushed my hair, the comb came away tangled with huge clumps of it. And then my phone started ringing in the middle of the night. All I could hear on the other end was the sound of a child bouncing a rubber ball. Thump, thump, thump. A sinister voice would whisper through the receiver. You've been cursed. 7 days, and I'm coming for your life. Damn it, school is already a pain in the ass. Now you're not even going to let me sleep? I'm already losing my hair from the stress. My roommate, Chloe, watched me deteriorate and couldn't resist a sneer. You've got some seriously bad juju lately, Quinn. Wonder if you did something to deserve it. Your face is the only thing you've got going for you. It'd be a shame if you went bald. You'd never be able to land a sugar daddy then. I looked up at Chloe on the top bunk, a comb in my hand, and gave her a smile that didn't reach my eyes. True. I'm not as skilled in the sugar baby arts as you are. You'll have to give me some pointers. Chloe's eyes widened in fury, like I'd struck a nerve. We had beef. Chloe was our major's campus queen. Pretty, great body, always dressed to the nines, and a magnet for all the guys. She was also arrogant as hell, and only had eyes for Ethan, a senior on the basketball team. But as luck would have it, Ethan asked for my number 2 weeks ago, making it clear he wanted to date me. She went ballistic, cornering me in our dorm room and demanding to know what I was playing at. I couldn't figure out what she was trying to accomplish, so I asked, what's wrong? You don't have his number? I can send you his contact card if you want. Chloe took that as me showing off. Her face went dark, and she rallied the other girls in our room to start icing me out. It was easy for her. Money talks, and Chloe's family had plenty of it. I'd always suspected the curse letter was Chloe's doing. Now I didn't have to suspect. It was definitely her. I casually set my comb aside. You know, you're right. I have been having some bad luck. Someone left me this weird curse letter, says I'm gonna die in 7 days. I paused. Would be lame enough to do something like that. Chloe's expression froze for a second before she quickly looked away. I have no idea what you're talking about. I'm going out to get my nails done. Stop bothering me. Chloe was clearly new to the whole backstabbing thing. She was terrible at hiding it. As she climbed down from her bunk, I pretended to reach for a hanger and managed to pluck a strand of her hair. She didn't even notice. As she left, I saw her snatch the comb off my desk. I narrowed my eyes but said nothing. Chloe took my comb to get my hair. I wasn't surprised at all. A curse letter alone isn't enough to really hurt someone. For maximum power, you need the victim's hair. You use it in a dark ritual, and then you've really got them. How do I know all this? Because I'm only at this university to investigate this very thing. I'm a professional reaper. Not long ago, my jurisdiction started seeing a string of wrong souls, all of whom died because of a bizarre curse letter. Anyone who received one died of cardiac arrest within 7 days. The king of the underworld waved his hand and sent me undercover to this university to get to the bottom of it. Poor me. Almost 30 years old, and I have to pretend to be a college kid. Work is already a drag. Add school on top of it. Double the drag. So I made a point of being extra visible around campus. Sure enough, it wasn't long before a curse letter found its way to me. I just hadn't expected it to come through Chloe. The second Chloe was out the door, I made myself invisible and followed her. She said she was getting her nails done, but she never even left campus. She went to the woods behind the dorm building. After a few minutes of waiting, a skinny, acne-faced guy in black-rimmed glasses showed up. The guy was clearly nervous, fidgeting with the hem of his shirt and unable to look Chloe in the eye. Chloe, looking impatient, handed him a wad of tissue paper. I got her hair. When will the curse take effect? The guy's face turned red as he pushed his glasses up his nose. Once I burn her hair as an offering to the vengeful spirit, she'll be haunted. Her luck will go down the drain. Chloe nodded, satisfied, a smug smile on her face. You'd better not be lying to me. But I'm thinking I want to up the ante. I don't just want her to have bad luck. I want her face ruined. I want her reputation destroyed. The guy looked at her shocked. This curse is just for messing with people. Usually it just makes them lose some hair, lose some money, get a little paranoid. If you use it to seriously harm someone, it could backfire. Seeing his hesitation, Chloe pouted, grabbing the guy's sleeve and shaking it playfully. But you said you liked me, didn't you? You won't even do this one little thing for me? You have no idea how horrible Quinn is. She bullies me and humiliates me in the dorm every single day. I just can't take it anymore. I squatted in the bushes, watching the drama unfold. About me apparently. Is she speaking in opposites? Chloe's damsel in distress act worked like a charm. The guy nodded like a lovesick fool. He quickly took out the hair wrapped in the tissue. He started making hand signs, and a small flame instantly ignited the hair. The smell of burning hair filled the air. He began chanting under his breath. Not bad. He's a real Taoist practitioner, just not a very good one. He didn't even realize the hair wasn't mine. It was Chloe's. I had just cast a little glamour spell on it. I was curious to see what would happen. The curse letter was in my possession, but the hair being used belonged to Chloe. Who would the curse actually fall on? After the guy finished his ritual, Chloe planted a quick kiss on his cheek. He was lost in bliss, completely missing the look of utter disgust in her eyes. But I suddenly felt a chill run down my spine, as if an ice-cold corpse had just wrapped its arms around me from behind. I shivered involuntarily. I focused my energy, quickly pulling the soul slicer hook, a sickle-shaped reaper tool, from my back and slashing it through the air behind me. A cloud of black miasma instantly dispersed, but a single wisp of it still managed to seep into my body. Damn it! I got careless. The malevolence from this ghost, I hope it doesn't give me the runs. After Chloe and the guy left, I groaned and pulled out my Underworld-issued phone to call my colleague. Dude, save me. I accidentally swallowed some yanchit from a nasty ghost. Am I gonna get diarrhea? A pleasant male voice finally came through the line after a long pause. You're an amateur. If you have the runs, call a ghost doctor. Why are you calling me? Boo, the other guy is a Taoist. You know their magic is strong against us Reapers. Wait there. He hung up, short and to the point. 20 minutes later, I was squatting in the East Side campus cafeteria, devouring a plate of sweet and sour pork ribs. A handsome man who looked to be about 18 or 19 sat down across from me. This was my colleague and direct superior, Silas. I thought you had the runs. I waved my hand dismissively. I'm eating. Don't talk about gross stuff. His mouth twitched. I kept gnawing on a rib while I gave him my report. He reached out and touched the curse letter, his expression quickly turning serious. This is definitely a Taoist curse. And the paper this is written on it's special. Good thing you were smart enough not to use your own hair, or you wouldn't even be able to walk right now. My face fell. I hadn't realized it was that serious. So what do I do now? This letter has a malevolent spirit sealed inside it. The only way to break the curse is to resolve its resentment. And how do I do that? Silas paused, about to speak. But I suddenly stood up and slapped my forehead. I've got a brilliant idea. An hour later, I was at the city's most popular temple, holding the curse letter. With utmost reverence, I dropped it into the temple's donation box. A nearby monk saw the thick envelope and bowed to me with a kind smile. Ba. Not many people use cash these days. The Buddha will surely feel your kindness, benefactor. Really? Buddha can really feel it? I was so excited I let it slip. Oh, you misunderstand, master. It's not cash. It's a curse letter. I have faith that Buddha can overcome this evil and bring peace to the soul attached to this letter. The monk's smile twitched. Before he could blow his top, I pulled a $10 bill from my pocket, dropped it into the donation box, and respectfully backed away. Silas, who had been following me the whole time, was completely dumbfounded. Silas was a full ghost. But I was half human, half ghost. I hadn't died completely, which is how I became a Reaper. The temple's holy aura didn't affect me. Silas. When did you get so devious? Devious? Didn't you say Taoist magic was hard to break? I figured if we can't handle it, we let Buddha go head to head with it. Makes sense. Perfect sense. Silas looked like he didn't want to speak to me anymore. He had other business to attend to. After we parted ways, I obediently returned to my dorm. On the way, I looked up the birth date and time of the guy, Warren, who had met with Chloe. And what I found was a bombshell. The guy was from Shaanxi province. His birth date was fine, but his astrological chart was a huge problem. According to his destiny, he shouldn't have lived past the age of 10. In the book of life and death, his name was written in half red, half black ink. When a name in the book turns red, it means that person's time is almost up. Half red, half black meant he had borrowed someone else's luck to extend his own life. Sinister. So damn sinister. This guy's own skills weren't that great, someone else must have altered his fate for him. My expression grew grim. This case was getting complicated. I didn't get back to the dorm until dark. I'd had a junior ghost attend my afternoon classes for me. The moment I walked in, I saw Chloe. She was dressed to kill in a slinky dress and long, wavy hair. When she saw me, she completely changed her tune, grabbing my arm with uncharacteristic warmth. Quinn, it's my birthday tonight. My friends are throwing me a party, dinner and karaoke. The other girls from the room are already going. You should come too. I looked at her coldly. Keep acting. Let's see what you're really up to. Oh. Why the sudden invitation? I didn't think we were that close. Chloe looked a little awkward. The other roommates immediately jumped in to mediate. Quinn, Chloe's being nice. How can you be like that? We all live together. We see each other every day. Who are you trying to act high and mighty for? Yeah, seriously. You're so antisocial. Chloe's making an effort, and you're just shutting her down. Seeing them all ganging up on me, I just smiled. Okay, fine. I'll go. Chloe's face lit up. Great. Since you're coming, why don't you bring your boyfriend? You know, Ethan. I'm over it now, and I genuinely want to wish you two the best. This is a good chance for us all to hang out. As Chloe said this, she kept scratching at her neck. Others couldn't see it, but I could see a large red patch forming on her skin. It clicked. She wanted me to bring Ethan so she could humiliate me in front of him, didn't she? She thought the curse would take full effect tonight. I smiled sweetly and nodded. All right then. Chloe kept scratching her neck, muttering, "What is with these mosquitoes today? My neck is so itchy." She kept clawing at it, and soon I saw her scratch off a small, bloody piece of skin. She didn't feel a thing. The curse was already working. But not on me. Thank you, Buddha, for your protection. We arrived at the KTV lounge around 9. There were about a dozen people in the private room, including the nerdy Taoist guy from earlier. He sat in a dark corner, his eyes glued to Chloe with a burning intensity. When he saw me, he immediately adjusted his glasses and looked away. Chloe kept asking me when Ethan was going to show up. I had no choice but to keep telling her he was on his way. Soon, a tall, slender man pushed open the door. Chloe's eyes lit up as she rushed over. Ethan, you're finally here. We've been waiting for you forever. We couldn't blow out the candles until you arrived. I stared at Ethan and froze. Mortals couldn't see through the glamour, but I could. This wasn't Ethan. It was Silas. Silas smiled, walked over to me, and put his arm around my shoulders. Quinn asked me to come, so of course I'd be here. Don't wait for me, you guys go on. My mouth twitched. Who asked him to come? Silas leaned in, using the dim lighting to whisper in my ear. Something's wrong tonight. I looked into that curse. If they get the victim's hair, their skin rots. If they get their fingernails, their bones soften until they can't stand. If they get their blood, they bleed out until they're dry. I gasped. Vicious. That was beyond vicious. Skin rotting, bones softening, bleeding out. You couldn't even call that a miserable death. It was horrifically cruel. I was sure Chloe couldn't have gotten my nails or blood. And the hair curse seemed to be affecting Chloe herself. She had well and truly shot herself in the foot. As we whispered in the corner, Chloe was practically green with envy. After she blew out her candles, someone spoke up with a strange tone. Hey, have you guys heard? There's a curse letter going around on the campus social media pages, spreading through a few of the majors. They say anyone who gets it either goes crazy or ends up dead. The worst one, her skin was so bad she scratched it all off. Totally disfigured. Probably never get married now. Another girl from my dorm immediately chimed in. I heard about that. Apparently, the letter started with a junior. She was in a long-distance relationship, but her boyfriend cheated on her. She couldn't handle it, so she hung herself from the ceiling fan in her dorm room, wearing a red dress. When they found her, her head was completely separated from her body. And right before she died, she wrote that cursed letter. Ah, so that's why I heard a bouncing ball on the phone. It was her head. Someone else added, so is the curse real? Is it that powerful? Has anyone ever escaped it? Chloe smiled smugly, her gaze suddenly falling on me. Well, I'd say that as long as you haven't done anything wrong, a normal person wouldn't get a curse letter, right? Unless you did something shady to piss someone off. I feigned a look of panic. Are you serious? Is the curse really that strong? Is there no way to break it? Chloe looked at me with mock surprise. Why are you so worked up? You didn't get one, did you? Oh, that's terrible. You could lose your life. It's a good thing you came with me tonight. I have a friend, Warren, whose family studies Taoism. Maybe he can help you out. With that, Chloe pulled the nerdy guy Warren forward. The very same guy who performed the ritual that afternoon. I immediately played my part, looking terrified. To be honest, I did get a curse letter. Can he really help me? I've been having nightmares, and a ghost keeps calling me at night. Master, can you please take a look? Warren nodded. Write down your birth date and time. I'll see if I can draw a talisman to break the curse for you. Okay. I immediately found a pen and paper to write down my birth details. But Silas, who was next to me, suddenly stopped me. I secretly squeezed his hand and gave him a look. I wanted him to keep an eye on Chloe. They wanted my birth details now, probably to perform another ritual to harm me. I wrote down a fake birth date, one belonging to a girl who had been dead for a couple of years, but had a similar profile to mine. I wasn't sure if Warren had any real skills. He took the paper and began making calculations with a serious expression. After a moment, he looked at me strangely. According to this, you're about to die. I immediately threw myself into Silas's arms, terrified. No way. I'm perfectly fine right now. How could I die? Are you sure you're reading that right? Sure enough, seeing me in Silas's arms made Chloe's face turn green. She frantically shot a look at Warren. Warren put on a profound air. The curse letter you received has a soul trapped inside it. It will torment everyone who receives it. Do you feel a constant chill, but also a strange, intense heat and itchiness on your body? An itchiness that won't stop until you've scratched your skin raw. Honestly, apart from a case of the runs after swallowing that wisp of dark energy, I hadn't experienced any of that. But I had to commit to the act. Yes, that's exactly it. As I said this, Chloe was still scratching herself. Hearing my words, she was overjoyed, thinking her curse had finally succeeded. Warren continued, I will now summon the spirit and perform an exorcism for you. I need a drop of your blood. Everyone else, close your eyes and do not speak, or the spirit might attack you. I nodded in cooperation. The blood, of course, wasn't mine. There are plenty of ways to get blood. For instance, the piece of skin Chloe had scratched off earlier. I pretended to pick at my arm, and after a moment, I produced a small piece of flesh and handed it to Warren. He began the ritual. Someone had turned off the lights in the room. The music had stopped. It was pitch black. After 5 minutes of silence, the sound of leather shoes echoed through the room. No one dared to speak. You could only hear the heavy breathing of the others. Soon the owner of the shoes stopped right behind me. Warren's voice cut through the darkness, cold and steady. Don't move and don't speak. I've summoned the spirit. Just cooperate, and I can save your life. Save me? More like kill me. I scoffed but didn't say a word. A pair of hands landed on my shoulders in the darkness. The air turned freezing cold. I nonchalantly cleaned out my ear, then suddenly whipped my head around. I was face to face with a woman's chalk-white face. She had no color in her cheeks, her hair was a mess, and her neck was unnaturally long, like a giraffe. Seeing me suddenly turn around and open my eyes, The female ghost was clearly taken aback. But she quickly twisted her neck, which stretched instantly, her head lunging right at me as she tried to swallow me whole. But before she could even touch me, a golden light erupted from my body. A Buddhist swastika symbol descended from the heavens and enveloped me. At the same time, a long, ethereal voice boomed, "Vile creature." It even had reverb. I have to say, I felt a little enlightened myself. Buddha was reliable. When you needed him, he showed up. The female ghost was instantly burned, screaming as she clutched her head and tried to flee. Warren, on the other hand, seemed unable to see the holy light. He was sweating profusely, chanting and making hand signs. The ghost, under his control, could only shriek and charge at me again. But the holy light had wounded her badly. Before she could get close, someone kicked her, sending her flying. I looked back and saw it was Silas. We met eyes and shared a knowing smile. He immediately sent a thought into my mind. What are you still trying to do? Don't you want to catch the big fish? Warren isn't powerful enough to create this curse letter. There's someone behind him. We need to lure them out and take down all these dark practitioners at once. While we were communicating, Warren opened his eyes, stared at the female ghost, and suddenly commanded, "Possess her. Go." At the same time, he began to burn the piece of flesh with a talisman. The ghost had initially been targeting me, but as the flesh burned, her glazed-over eyes suddenly darted around. Then she locked onto Chloe, who was hiding in a corner of the room. In an instant, she transformed into a puff of black smoke and shot into Chloe's body. What could you do? The hair was Chloe's, and the flesh was Chloe's. Naturally, she was the one to be possessed. Meanwhile, probably due to the curse's feedback, Warren coughed up a mouthful of blood. A scream suddenly pierced the room. Someone immediately turned on the lights. I quickly messed up my hair and fell to the floor, trembling and playing the part of a damsel in distress. I just saw a terrifying ghost. What do I do? Is she gone? Warren wiped the blood from his mouth and gave a strange smile. Don't worry. That ghost won't be bothering you for now. True. Because she was busy bothering Chloe. Warren really was a hack of a Taoist. He couldn't see the holy light, and he couldn't even tell who the ghost had possessed. I pretended to be clueless and went to help Chloe up. But she violently shoved me away and threw herself into Silas's arms. What the hell? Trying to copy me and get a free feel? Silas was quick, sidestepping her neatly. Chloe stumbled and fell flat. Her simp, Warren, immediately rushed forward to catch her. Chloe started crying as she stared at me. Quinn, I don't know if I should say this, but you've definitely attracted something evil. That ghost is attached to you now. If you stay with Ethan, you might bring him bad luck too. Of course, I'm just saying. You two are so close, I'm sure you wouldn't mind. TSK. Just saying. She was one step away from physically prying us apart. Warren chimed in, it's true. You're having a run of bad luck. Anyone close to you might be affected too. I pretended to look troubled and turned to Silas, asking pitifully, really? In that case, Ethan, maybe you should stay away from me for a few days. I don't know if Silas was getting into the role too. He immediately pulled me into a deep embrace, his voice soft and tender. Don't worry. I don't have a lot of energy. I'm not afraid. With something like this happening to you, I could never leave you alone. A chorus of ahs filled the room. And me? I'm sorry. I'm allergic to romance. You're the king of the underworld, and you don't have a lot of energy? So I'm the one who's full of it? Chloe and I ended up going back to the dorm together. Silas insisted on driving us back. Before he left, he said, be careful. That ghost possessed Chloe. Tonight is going to be rough. Chloe was burning with jealousy but still forced a smile. Back in the dorm, I washed up and lay in bed, playing on my phone. Chloe went into the bathroom to shower. I noticed that when she walked, her heels didn't touch the ground. Only people possessed by ghosts walk like that. She'd had a fit earlier, and the other roommates couldn't calm her down, so they just let her be. A moment later, she came running out of the bathroom, screaming, stark naked, her hair a wild mess. She held up her arm, trembling. Look at my arm. What's happening to my arm? Chloe's arm was covered in blisters of all sizes, and a large patch of skin was scratched completely raw. The rash extended all the way to her chest. She was still scratching frantically, her face contorted in a terrifying grimace. The others were freaked out by the sight of her and rushed her to the campus clinic. I just watched it all happen, a small smile playing on my lips. You reap what you sow. I pulled up Chloe's file in the book of life and death and saw that her name was already 2/3 red. Once her name turned fully red, she was a goner. If she had just been jealous and wanted to teach me a lesson, that would be one thing. But what she did afterward was clearly meant to kill me. If I weren't a reaper, I'd be the one with rotting skin right now. It was late by the time Chloe and the others got back, probably after getting some medicine. After the lights went out, Chloe sat on her bed, her hair hanging over her face, staring at me with an intensity that felt like it could burn a hole through my soul. And behind her, a pale female ghost was cradling its own head, using its unnaturally long hair to slowly wrap around Chloe's neck. Chloe's breathing grew labored, her eyes bulged, and her hands flailed weakly. Everyone else was asleep. I turned over, pretending not to see, but I slipped out my soul slicer hook and made a casual slash through the air. The ghost let out a piercing shriek and turned into a puff of black smoke, disappearing back into Chloe's body. I closed my eyes, feeling Chloe gasp for air. In the following days, Chloe's skin condition worsened. Her once thick, wavy hair started falling out, littering the floor. The other roommates, whose loyalty had been bought with Chloe's gifts, had never really liked her personality anyway. Soon the whispers started. Her face is rotting off and she still won't go to a real hospital. And her hair is everywhere, it's disgusting. I know, right? I used to think she was so pretty, but now it's obvious it was all just makeup. Another roommate added in a conspiratorial tone. You know, all that designer stuff Chloe wears? It's fake. I heard her family isn't rich at all. She just gets stuff from guys she meets online. Remember that Armani lipstick she gave me? I checked at the counter, it's a fake. What? No wonder. That expensive face serum she gave me made me break out. It must have been fake too. As they say, when it rains, it pours. The girls who had been so close to Chloe all turned on her. Chloe walked in just in time to hear them. Her skin had deteriorated so much that half her face was just raw flesh. A foul smell clung to her. The moment she entered, the others covered their noses and backed away. What were you just saying? That I buy fakes? You bitches. You were happy enough to take all my makeup and clothes, weren't you? And now you're talking trash behind my back. You have no shame. Chloe lunged, ready to slap one of the girls. But she was shoved to the ground. That was then. We didn't know you were giving us fakes. And look at yourself. Go see a doctor about your face. You stink. You were the one saying Quinn was cursed and haunted, but it looks like you're the one who's paying for her sins. The fight was explosive. That night, the room was silent. Chloe clutched her rotting face, her eyes fixed on me with pure venom. In the middle of the night, she suddenly climbed out of bed and lunged for me, her hands clamping around my neck. Quinn, why aren't you dead yet? If you just died, none of this would be happening to me. I grabbed her wrist and twisted. With just a little pressure, she collapsed to the floor in pain. I sat up and looked down at her calmly. You really want me to die that badly? She let out a crazed laugh. You still don't admit you were wrong? What did I do wrong? Oh, if you've done nothing wrong, then we have nothing to talk about. Chloe lay on the floor for a moment, then scrambled up and grabbed me frantically. The curse letter. Do you still have the curse letter? I tilted my head, looking at her. Nope. What? She stared at me stunned. Where did you put it? You're the one who's cursed, so why is nothing happening to you? Why? I cut off her hysterical rant with a sigh. Because I'm a rather devout person. When I got that thing, it creeped me out, so I dropped it in the temple donation box. I let Buddha deal with it. The color drained from Chloe's face. She couldn't hurt me, and in the process, she had only hurt herself. Chloe scrambled to her feet and fled the room. I immediately got dressed and followed her. Chloe went to find the nerdy Taoist, Warren. They met at the school gate. When Warren saw the state of Chloe's face, he flinched and took a few steps back, his eyes filled with disgust. What happened to you? Your face? Chloe grabbed him hysterically. You have to help me. You have to. I think I've been cursed or something these past few days. My face. And my body, my skin is starting to rot, and my bones, it feels like ants are chewing on them. You have to save me. Hearing this, Warren's expression turned serious. Could it be a rebound? What rebound? Is it because of that cursed letter? I knew it. Your stupid ritual didn't work, and now it's ruined me. Warren, if you can't fix my face, I'll tell everyone what you've been up to. I'll get you expelled. Cornered by Chloe's tirade, Warren became anxious and tried to calm her down. Don't worry, I'll figure something out for you. What about your roommate, Quinn? Logically, she should be tormented by the ghost by now. Chloe screamed at him, don't even start. Nothing's happened to her. She's eating and sleeping just fine. You said you'd make her life a living hell. And now not only did I not get Ethan back, I've ended up like this. Warren kept muttering, how could this be? Don't panic. That curse letter has our sex magic on it. I'll try to track it now and see what's going on. I was standing just a few feet away from them, cloaked in my Reaper's cape, boredly watching Warren perform his ritual. As long as I wore the cape, mortals couldn't see me. I even saw a fellow Reaper on campus reaping a soul, and gave him a quick wave. Warren began his ritual, but he quickly broke out in a sweat, his face turning pale. Just as he lit another talisman, a flash of golden, Buddhist light shot out and struck him. A moment later, he spat up a mouthful of black blood and staggered backward. How is this possible? He gritted his teeth. What did that woman do to the curse letter? Chloe paused. She put it in the temple donation box. Warren coughed up another mouthful of black blood. How could she dare? Why wouldn't I dare? Fight fire with fire. What's the problem? I yawned. They were this cornered. The person behind the scenes had to be showing up soon, right? Or maybe I should add a little more fuel to the fire. With that thought, I pulled out my Underworld pass. This token could intimidate spirits. Even a vengeful, unpacified ghost would go berserk if it came into contact with this token. Sure enough, the moment I took out the pass, the ghost possessing Chloe's body went wild. A pair of white, ghostly hands snaked over Chloe's shoulders from behind. A disheveled ghost head rested crookedly on Chloe's shoulder, staring at me with sinister eyes. But it didn't last long. I brandished my soul slicer hook. The ghost saw it and immediately stopped staring at me, instead sinking its teeth into Chloe's neck. Warren didn't have the sight, but the ghost had suddenly revealed itself. He was startled at first, but quickly fumbled for a talisman to confront it. But the ghost had been tormented by me for days, and was itching for a fight. Its hands transformed into ghostly claws and lunged straight for Warren's face. The ghost in the red dress, its black hair becoming 1,000 writhing tentacles, wrapped itself around Warren's body. Warren was a total amateur. He didn't even last 2 rounds with the ghost before he was scared out of his mind. He grabbed Chloe's arm, shoved her toward the ghost, lit a talisman, and ran for his life. I didn't chase him. Chloe was screaming horribly. The ghost broke her arm and was now perched on top of her, laughing strangely, its fangs greedily sucking at her brain matter. I finally couldn't watch anymore. I raised my soul slicer hook, chanted an incantation, and a silver net shot out, covering the ghost's face. The ghost was caught in the net, its entire body burning. I easily hooked the ghost out with my soul slicer. Chloe stared at me with wide eyes. Her own eyes rolled back in her head, and she managed to get out a few words. What are you? The Grim Reaper? I stroked my chin and squatted beside her with a smile. I prefer Reaper or Soul Guide. It sounds a bit more distinguished. Chloe couldn't speak anymore. She just coughed up mouthfuls of black blood. And inside the blood, disgusting worms were crawling. Chloe was taken to the hospital and stayed for days. But no matter how many tests the hospital ran, they couldn't find the cause of her illness. Her body weakened rapidly. When our roommates heard about her condition, they all suddenly turned into saints and suggested we visit her. I went along with them. When I saw Chloe in the hospital, her head was completely bald, with only a few strands of yellow, withered hair left. Her cheeks were so sunken she looked like a skeleton. When she saw me, she looked like she'd seen a ghost, shrinking back under the covers in terror. The beautiful girl was gone. I patted her shoulder, knowing she was about to die. At midnight tonight, at the latest, a Reaper from this district would come to collect her soul. In the Book of Life and Death, Her name had turned completely red, and the king of the underworld had circled it. Seeing me still sent Chloe into a frenzy. You're bad luck. You're a reaper. A soul guide. The Grim Reaper. You've come to take my life. Ah. I know I was wrong. I shouldn't have tried to hurt you. Don't take my soul. No. I need to go to the temple. I need to become a vegetarian and pray. Buddha will protect me. Chloe's family and our roommates all thought she was having a psychotic break. No one believed a word she said. I sighed. You never pray when things are fine, but you expect Buddha to save you when you're in trouble. Chloe, you need to get a grip. I paused, then continued. Tell me how to contact Warren. He's the only one who can break the curse. Maybe you can still survive. This was a total shot in the dark. Warren had disappeared. I'd even sent several reapers to look for him, but we couldn't find him. He had a Taoist talisman on him that could block our searches. But since Chloe was close to him, maybe she was the key. Hearing my words, Chloe suddenly shot out from under the covers and grabbed my arm, shaking it violently. You can't escape either. None of us can. There's something powerful behind him. It can even kill reapers. Ha 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 ha. As she said this, her body trembled, and her hospital gown shifted slightly. I caught a glimpse of a vermilion-colored tattoo. Just as I was about to get a closer look, a doctor rushed in and gave Chloe a sedative. Seeing that Chloe was completely gone, I left the hospital. Chloe's family soon came to process her withdrawal from the university. The reason given was illness. But it wasn't long before news of Chloe's death spread. Exactly 7 days. The curse was for 7 days. The curse letter was in the donation box. So no one else on campus died because of it. I had more or less completed the mission Silas had given me. When I returned to the underworld to write up my report, Silas was at his desk in the king's palace. He was typing away on his computer, not even looking at my report. This isn't over. I know. Warren escaped. I heard he took a leave of absence from the university. I secretly checked his file, and all his information is fake. This Warren is an imposter. My heart sank. I hadn't done a good job. Someone as cheap as Silas was definitely going to dock my performance pay. Silas looked up at me, his handsome brows furrowed slightly. It's Chloe. Chloe's soul was never collected. What? When a person dies, their soul lingers near the body. If it's a normal death, without much resentment, reapers can usually guide them to the underworld for reincarnation. Chloe's death was unique. She brought it on herself, though I admittedly fanned the flames a bit. But she definitely didn't have what it took to become a vengeful spirit. So why wasn't her soul collected? Seeing my confusion, Silas put down his work and answered calmly. Her soul was taken beforehand and used in a dark ritual. The underworld can't track these lost souls. Not only that, but the real reason I sent you undercover to the university was because of this. Someone is using curse letters to harm people, and the souls of everyone killed by them have vanished, leaving only traces of Taoist dark magic on the bodies. I was right. There was more to Warren than met the eye. It was just a shame we hadn't managed to reel in the big fish behind him. So what now? I asked, looking at Silas's handsome face with a heavy heart. He glanced up at me. Keep looking. You did a good job this time. You used your brain. Even though you didn't find the mastermind, it wasn't a total loss. Continue your cover at the university. Since the culprit chose a college campus to operate, it must be advantageous for them in some way. Silas paused, then added, that Warren character borrowed his fate. People who know that kind of magic are rare these days. I suspect the person who helped your mother alter your fate all those years ago might be the same one. I froze for a moment. Borrowing fate. The reason I became a reaper, could I really find the person responsible? But why do I have to keep going to school? I'm almost 30. I want to go on dates and fall in love. Help me. As if he could read my mind, Silas looked at me and smiled. Finish this underworld business, and I'll give you a vacation. I'll even set you up on a blind date. Only an idiot would believe a boss's empty promises. But as a half-human, half-ghost who walked between worlds, I was willing to believe half of it. I went back to the university to keep an eye out for Warren. Since he specialized in harming people on campus, he was bound to come back. But instead of Warren, I ran into Ethan. The very same senior Chloe had a crush on. The one Silas had impersonated at her birthday party. He stopped me in the cafeteria. Ethan was handsome, tall, and a star player on the basketball team. Like Chloe, he was one of the shining stars of campus life. He placed his tray on my table and sat down across from me, his long fingers tapping rhythmically on the edge of the tray. "Quinn, I wanted to ask you something." "HM? What is it?" He gave a faint smile. "There's a rumor going around that we're dating. But I don't seem to recall that happening, so I thought I'd come and get some clarification." "Crap," I thought. "Other students must have seen me with Silas." "Oh, that's all just rumors. Fake news. Don't take it seriously." Ethan stared at me intently, then reached out and took my hand. "But I want to take it seriously. Quinn, will you be my girlfriend? I know about what happened in your dorm. I never thought Chloe would target you because of me. Even though she's gone now, I know you went through a lot, and I'd like to make it up to you." "What the hell? I just wished for a boyfriend from the king of the underworld." "And he delivered?" I couldn't believe this was happening. I eagerly squeezed Ethan's hand back. But as I did, I saw a strange tattoo on the back of his hand. It was a talisman, tattooed right onto his skin. I was surprised for a second, then put on my best dumb blonde act. "Ethan, what's that tattoo on your hand? It looks so cool." Ethan paused, then quickly pulled his hand back. "I got it at a tattoo shop near the school gate. It's a Taoist good luck charm. If you're with me, we could get matching ones." "Okay. Let's get together. Take me to get a tattoo right now." I nodded like a bobblehead. Ethan's face lit up with joy. At 6 that evening, Ethan took me to the tattoo shop he'd mentioned. It was in an inconspicuous spot near a print shop. A lot of couples came here for tattoos, so business wasn't bad. The reason I'd come was because I'd seen the same tattoo on Chloe's chest back at the hospital. I'd only seen a part of it, but I was sure it was the same one on the back of Ethan's hand. Could that be a coincidence? Ethan walked in like he owned the place. The shop was small. A young tattoo artist was inside, lazily smoking a cigarette. When he saw us, he tossed a book of designs onto the counter without even looking up. "Want a tattoo? Small ones are $388. Big ones are $888. A cover-up is $500. Ethan coughed twice. "Hey, it's me. This is my girlfriend. She wants to get the same good luck tattoo as me." Hearing this, the artist finally looked up at me, a strange smile on his face. "Another one? Your charm is really something else." I tilted my head, continuing my sweet, naive act. "Ethan, what does he mean by that? Have you brought other girls here for tattoos?" "Ah, I thought I was the only one." Ethan panicked. "No. Don't listen to him. It was just a few underclassmen who wanted to come. You're the first as my girlfriend." "Oh, what an honor." I lay down on the chair as instructed. The artist and Ethan were whispering about something in the corner. A strange sandalwood incense was burning in the shop. Soon, I felt myself drifting off. In a hazy, half-awake state, I saw 2 dark figures standing beside me. "You're still the best, getting her to come here so easily. Cut the crap. You screwed up the last sacrifice, Chloe. Now get me her skin. I need to make a new human skin curse letter." That was Ethan's voice. The other voice was vaguely familiar. I squinted, trying to get a better look. It was the missing Warren. He hesitated. "But she's not simple. She's a Reaper. If we mess with one of the Underworld's people, we could be in serious trouble." Ethan scoffed, his handsome face twisting into a sneer. He reached out and caressed my cheek, his touch as gentle as if he were stroking a beloved lover. "I've never used a Reaper's skin before. A body that's half half young. It will be twice as effective when I refine it. We've already collected 7 souls. We just need 2 more to make 9. With the power of 9 souls, even the king of the underworld himself will have to bow down to me. But what? Don't you forget, if I hadn't borrowed your fate for you, you would have died 10 years ago." Warren's hesitation vanished, replaced by a look of resolve. He looked at Ethan respectfully. "Yes, master. I will handle this. And it's her own damn fault. If she hadn't meddled and thrown our last human skin curse letter into a donation box, we wouldn't have to be taking her skin." I lay on the table thinking. So that's what Silas meant when he said the letter's material was special. It was made from human skin. And this trip wasn't a waste. The person behind Warren was Ethan all along. Were these two running some kind of sick assembly line? One played the campus god to lure in naive girls, and the other played the simp to offer them a solution. And their goal was always the same: to harvest the girls' souls. Damn it. I was so careless. A sharp scalpel approached my neck. A woman's skin is softest just below the collarbone. Wouldn't you agree, Quinn? Ethan held my head with one hand, his expression still as gentle as water. I snapped my eyes open and stared at him. I think your collarbone looks pretty tender too. Probably great in a hot pot. A flash of anger crossed his face. Still talking tough when you're about to die. I shot back, annoyed. Am I the one talking tough, or are you guys just slow? You knock me out fine. But then you have to stand next to my ear and monologue your entire evil plan. As if you're afraid I won't hear it? And if you're going to monologue, you have to wait until I wake up? Is there something wrong with your brains, or is it me? It's a rule of fiction. The villain always dies because they talk too much. I think you two are about to be written off. Ethan's face twisted in fury. He raised the scalpel to stab me in the neck. It was Warren who stopped him. Master, calm down. I'll sew her mouth shut in a minute to make you feel better. Warren looked at me with cold eyes, then began to draw strange patterns on my face and arms with vermilion ink. The moment the ink touched my skin, it felt like boiling water, searing me. I gritted my teeth, enduring the pain. Ethan began to perform a ritual, and soul-summoning banners were hung around us. Soon, wisps of black souls began to emerge from the banners. They were almost all female. One of them was Chloe, who had just died a few days ago. She had no consciousness now, just blindly crashing around inside the magic circle, screaming horribly. I narrowed my eyes. I had finally found the missing souls. 7 souls. My performance bonus this month was going to be off the charts. For the bonus and for these innocent lives. I suddenly roared. Silas, you son of a bitch, if you don't get in here, your dearest, most hard-working subordinate is about to be turned into hot pot. The moment the words left my mouth, a violent wind swept through the room. A tall, slender figure appeared like a phantom, moving swiftly inside. Energy radiated from him. With just a flick of his wrist, he blocked the scalpel in Warren's hand. The blade instantly turned back on Warren, plunging straight into his chest. Warren died without ever knowing what hit him. When Ethan saw Silas, he narrowed his eyes. The king of the underworld is meddling in mortal affairs? All souls are under my jurisdiction. You could have messed with anything, but you just had to mess with her. Silas sneered, and a ghostly blue flame erupted from his long, pale fingers. With a slight flick of his wrist, the blue flames leaped onto the soul-summoning banners. The magic circle shattered instantly. The restraints on my body vanished. I scrambled off the table. Soul Slicer hook, come. The next second, the hook appeared in my hand. Without a word, I leaped into the air and brought it down on Ethan's head. I cursed as I swung. You had to wait until now to show up? What happened to our silent understanding? What if they had taken my clothes off to draw their talismans? My innocence would have been ruined. Silas's mouth twitched, his cold eyes narrowing slightly. I would not have let that happen. Ha. Like hell you wouldn't. You saw the whole thing, didn't you? There's an LED screen in the underworld that can monitor events in the mortal world, specifically tracking every Reaper. It's basically a body cam, a human surveillance system that Silas developed after my last mission. So I knew from the moment I walked into this tattoo shop that Silas could see everything. He sent me back to the university, calling it an undercover mission, but he was clearly using me as bait to draw these two out. Seeing that he had lost, Ethan immediately gave up on collecting the other souls. He pulled out 2 yellow talismans, chanted an incantation, and tried to escape. But with Silas here, how could he possibly get away? Silas just slightly parted his lips. The female souls that had been floating in the air, as if summoned, all swarmed toward Ethan. The souls blocked his path, their ghostly claws tearing at his physical body. He was terrified, desperately trying to flee. But the souls had all suffered horribly before their deaths and were eager for his blood. More and more souls burrowed into Ethan's chest. His once handsome face began to age rapidly. In just a few minutes, he had become a terrifying old man with wrinkled skin, collapsing to his knees. Ethan was no match for the king of the underworld. The power gap was just too wide. Seeing that he had no fight left in him, I sauntered over with my soul slicer hook on my shoulder and squatted in front of him. 27 years ago, did you perform a fate-borrowing ritual for a woman? Did you steal the life force from the baby in her womb to change her fate, causing that baby to be born with a half-eaten body, forever tied to the world of ghosts? Ethan looked up at me, trembling, a strange laugh escaping his aged face. It was as if he recognized me. Oh, so you're that baby, born from the shadows. You should thank me. You wouldn't have become a reaper otherwise. I slapped him across the face. A layer of old skin peeled off, and he let out a pained whimper. Thank you? Thank your whole family. I stood up coldly. Silas looked at me and sighed. The past is in the past. It is. It just revealed another cruel truth to me. I had always thought I was born with a naturally eaten body, that I brought bad luck to my family. Only now did I realize that the source of it all was my own mother. Ethan and Warren's curse letter operation was completely dismantled, and all the souls were collected and sent to the underworld. This time, I could finally submit a satisfactory weekly report. On my last day on campus, Silas showed up at the school gate to pick me up in a luxury car he'd gotten from who knows where. He was leaning against the car door when I came out. Let's go. I'm taking you on that date. My eyes lit up. For real? You're really setting me up with someone? The real deal. I gave him a suspicious look. Where is he? He pointed to himself. As a reward for completing this mission so successfully, I'll play the part of your date for a day. I rolled my eyes and got in the car. But just as we were leaving the campus, I saw a dark, ominous energy shrouding the entire school. A feeling of dread washed over me. And on the car radio, a news bulletin came on. A strange clay statue has been excavated from a river on the outskirts of the city. The streamer who discovered the statue was found dead in his home the next day, covered in mud under mysterious circumstances. I looked at Silas's cool, handsome profile. Boss, I think you promised me a vacation. He turned to look at me, a gentle smile on his face. I did. But a new case has come up. Finish this one, and I'll give you a long vacation. I knew it. You can never trust a boss. Especially not Silas. The end.